All right.
Miss Purcell,
We are now recording. Yes.
is it okay if I take a picture so I can post it on Twitter?
Is it
Is
okay
it
with
okay with everybody?
everyone else? I think it is.
Sure.
Is it okay if anybody is not comfortable? Can you speak up?
Right now, hey Morgan, hey Brooklyn, right now on my screen, I have a horizontal bar. So right now, the only people that would show would be you, Ms. Purcell, Mrs. Turner, and Mr. Amuzu. I don't have to put the students in it. I would like to, but I don't have to.
Students don't.
Yeah, so I think that's you guys would know best whether Bobby, are you Phyllis? How are you guys?
We're
feeling
okay
about
with that. We have the parent permissions, and Ms.
Okay.
Tillman is here as well. So yeah.
Excellent.
Hey, Solomon.
And so if you go to the very top of the little bar that has all of the people on it, if you go to the very top of that bar, there's a whole bunch of little squares. And if you click on that, it'll put all of the people in the meeting on your screen so that you can take a picture of everyone. If you want to do that.
Got it.
All right. So we have quite a few folks on right now. I want to get started so that we have time to get to everything we want to get to today. But today's most exciting part of the meeting is our chance to get to meet and to listen to a presentation by the Junior Community Science Collaborators of Atlanta. And so we are just super excited. I know the noise community has heard a lot about the work that you guys have been doing, and we are thrilled about the opportunity to be able to hear you and to be a part of this presentation. Phyllis, do you want to do some introductions so that, or Bobby, or both of you, would you guys do some introductions so that everybody can get to meet the team?
Sure. The students are going to introduce themselves, but what I will say is that they are representing the entire Beta Club. We're close to 50 members in the Beta Club. The group that we have with us today are the students who attended the Regional Leadership Summit in LaGrange, Georgia, and they were asked to come up with a service snapshot. Of course, I was already involved with the Noise Project, and they were pondering what kind of presentation they could make. We have been studying various pollutions in class. Solomon is one of my students, Asvedi is one of my students. So we had already covered several different types of environmental issues, including noise. So by bringing that to the Beta Club, looking for something in the Beta Club, it was just a natural fit. And they did the research. We went to LaGrange, they presented there. They blew everybody away there, and from there they advanced to present at nationals, of course, in Austin, Texas, which has been put on hold. But they have not stopped their research. They've not stopped learning about noise, and they've not stopped trying to educate the community about the unfortunate health conditions that arise as a result of overexposure to noise. So these are the students today, and we are happy, Karen, that you gave them their official title as Junior Community Science Collaborators, because this really is citizen science. And as the youth of the community, as the youngest citizens, for them to be absorbing this information now is just going to make their contributions even more powerful and more significant later. So I'll defer to Bobby. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Bobby?
Thank you, Phyllis.
Yeah, I would just add to the fact that I've heard the students present on more than one occasion, and every time that they presented, they seem to get better and better. I'm excited about the fact that when we started talking about community science collaborators, I knew that I wanted young people involved. I never knew that it would turn out to be as great as it is with the young people that we have involved. Tri-Cities has been a great partnership for Metro Atlanta Urban Farm, the students visiting the farm, and actually being able to work with these young people. And so I'm just excited about where we are and the potentials of where we can go. And there's no doubt that we will go way beyond this. And they don't realize it yet, but they have already had an impact upon the science community. And they are the kings and the queens right now. And so they have all of our undivided attention. And I want to say thanks to the parents for supporting these students in this effort. And thank you for putting your trust in us to kind of let the students lead us in the direction that's going to change science forever. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Bobby.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, noise team, it's on you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to thank you all for being here. My name is Jamel Tillman, and I'm a 10th grader.
And I'm Jamal Tillman. I'm also a 10th grader.
My name is Brooklyn Morgan, and I'm a 9th grader.
My name is Solomon Jones, and I'm a 10th grader.
And I'm Genevieve Guzman, and I'm an 11th grader. And I'm Isvedi Bernal. I'm also a 10th grader. And we are the TCHS Noise Beta Club team.
The Noise Project is funded by the National Science Foundation and is a collaboration between Cornell University of Ornithology and community-based organizations like Metro Atlanta Urban Farm that are located in historically underrepresented or marginalized communities throughout North America. Our goal is to make everyone in our community aware of noise pollution, what it is, and its effects. We want everyone in our community to recognize the difference between noise and sound and to become empowered to advocate for themselves. Moving forward, what steps can we take to encourage those who have the power to change laws to make it a priority to provide noise refuges and quiet sanctuaries in communities that are most affected? Jamal?
After learning about the science of noise pollution, we begin seeking answers to the following essential questions. What can we do to educate our community about the negative effects of noise? What can we do to advocate for quiet sanctuaries and noise refuges in our school and community? And what can leaders do to address this inequity and work towards policy changes that will ultimately lead to laws that protect the health and well-being of historically marginalized communities?
To begin our presentation, we would like for you to consider the following. What do you know about noise pollution and the negative impact noise can have on your health?
Does the impact of noise on the environment and our ecosystem matter to you?
Are there quiet sanctuaries in your community? On the question of equity, are they easily accessible to everyone?
Do you have a personal quiet sanctuary? When you think of noise, what images come to mind?
Does your mood change when you enter or exit a noisy area?
These questions form the basis for our club service snapshot. Isvedi?
What we will discover. What is noise? Are there health risks that are associated with noise? Noise versus sound. What impact does noise have on the environment and our ecosystem? What can we do to co-create noise-free refuges in our community? Genevieve? What is noise pollution? Noise pollution is an invisible danger. It is defined as the excessiveness of noise that has a harmful impact on the activity of human or animal life. Sound, on the other hand, are vibrations that travel through the air or another medium and can be heard when they reach a person's or animal's ear. Sound can improve our community's health and quality of life. In fact, we can build soundscapes that soothe, de-stress, and even heal. Brooklyn.
Sound can easily become noise. There are many sounds in the environment, from rustling leaves to a thunderclap to the wail of a siren. Sound that reaches 85 decibels or higher can harm a person's ears. Sound sources that exceed this threshold include familiar things such as power lawnmowers, subway trains, and loud rock concerts. At these levels, sound becomes noise. It should be noted that these sound levels can put one's health and hearing loss at the greatest risk. Here are some examples. Solomon.
Our health and noise pollution. While the elderly may have cardiac problems due to noise, according to the World Health Organization, children are especially vulnerable to noise, and the effects that noise has on children may be permanent. A serious threat to a child's physical and psychological health may negatively interfere with the child's learning and behavior. Noise pollution can affect both health and behavior. It can cause hypertension, high stress levels, ringing in the ears, hearing loss, sleep disturbances, and other harmful effects. Noise exposure in the workplace can also contribute to noise-induced hearing loss. Noise can also negatively affect adults and children with disabilities. Those with autism spectrum disorder can have hyperacoustics, which is an abnormal sensitivity to sound. For example, at Tri-Cities High School, in the classrooms with the children with autism spectrum disorder, the lights are off due to the noise that comes from fluorescent lighting. And also, it is very quiet and peaceful in there because they cannot deal with extreme levels of noise. And that's why their classrooms are apart from where the busier places in the schools are. Noise exposure may lead to unpleasant emotions such as fear and anxiety. For people with autism, it can cause uncomfortable physical sensations in noisy environments and can also result in isolation and negatively affect their quality of life. That's Vedi.
Noise and the ecosystem. Noise can have a detrimental effect on animals because it increases the risk of death by changing the balance of predator and prey detection and avoidance and interferes with the animal's communication, especially in reproduction and navigation. European robins living in urban environments are more likely to sing at night because of the high levels of noise pollution during the day, and their messages can communicate through the environment more clearly. Zebra finches become less faithful to their partners when exposed to traffic noise. This can alter the population's evolution by accepting new traits, which lead to genetic consequences. Underwater noise pollution due to human activities is prevalent in the sea. Cargo ships generate high levels of noise due to propellers and diesel engines. Animals such as whales that depend on sound for communication can be affected by this noise. Repeated exposure to the sounds can lead to adapting to that certain environment. A couple of months ago, National Geographic came out with an article on this topic, and they spoke about how not only does noise pollution affect us, but it also affects the animals around us. Sometimes we tend to forget that we're not the only ones living on this planet. And so when you have noise pollution at these levels, they can affect animals. Like bluebirds, when exposed to noise pollution, they tend to hatch less. And in the oceans, mammals such as whales and things as such, they have waves coming at them from all sorts of directions, from sonar devices, which for us, 85 decibels or higher is harmful, but these sonar devices are 235 decibels. Brooklyn.
Hello.
Coexisting with noise. As a society, we have adapted to the excessive noise around us. Small children learn to adapt to the harmful noise at home, loud music, loud voices, etc., and at community events such as football games. People living in poor urban areas usually experience increased noise pollution daily. The main causes of noise in residential areas include loud music, generators, transportation noise, house care such as construction and lawn care, explosions, or people yelling. For example, at Tri-Cities High School, I've had the chance to talk with some members from band, and they can agree that noise pollution has become a major conflict in their lives, especially in their practice areas, because they don't have the proper tools or equipment to prevent the hearing loss in the eardrums. Jamal.
What can about noise? Noise is not created equal. Because some noise is necessary, it's important to empower people with the knowledge to advocate for themselves or on behalf of those who cannot. Educate the community. Advocate policy change. Education plays a key role in noise pollution. Lack of awareness of the problem has led to hearing loss not only in humans, but also in animals. Learn more about how noise negatively impacts our communities at www.noiseproject.org.
The earplugs can take you a long way preventing damage throughout hearing, and they don't have to be expensive to be effective. For example, my brothers work for FedEx, and they're required to wear earplugs, so there's an abundance of earplugs around the world. As Vedi?
What can leaders do? Take action. Noise Noise pollution is disproportionately concentrated in low-income communities that have higher proportions of Native American, Asian, Black, and Latino residents. Low-income communities and communities of color are disproportionately affected by noise they're not producing and cannot control. Leaders can draft and pass policies that address the noise inequity in our communities, create sound refuges for communities and inner-city youth. School leaders can do more to promote a connection to nature by building soundscapes that soothe, de-stress, and even heal. Are there any questions?
Wow, I just can't contain my. Can everybody unmute and just give a huge applause to these guys? It's just incredible.
Bravo.
That was awesome, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful job.
That was really great.
Guys are awesome. Awesome. That is a fantastic presentation. All right. Does anybody?
Solomon, your background is incredible.
Karen, if I
Yeah,
may
thank
jump
you.
in,
Yes.
this was incredible. Really incredible presentation, and thank you so much for sharing your work with us. This is great.
Ashik, can you introduce yourself to the students?
Yes, absolutely. Hey, I'm Ashik Rahman. I work as a bioacoustician at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. And seriously, I've been working with sounds for the last 2 decades, and I learned something from you today. So this is great. And you know, you talked about sound and noise, and definitely noise is a big factor. Over the last 10, 12 years of my life, I've been dealing with studying noise underwater. And we are also increasingly thinking about noise for terrestrial animals and also humans. So this is really wonderful. And as you have mentioned, that noise has big impact on mammals, and some mammals have very similar type of hearing experiences and apparatus like us. So we have a chance to learn from them, and also we have a chance to learn from each other, and maybe all this learning will lead to something positive for us and as well as animals that we care about. But thank you. Hats off to you.
Thank you, Ashik.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm curious to learn more about how we can create some soundscape barriers around Tri-Cities. I know that's probably something we can't answer right now, but I would love for us to create that project around our school building.
Absolutely. We've been talking about that for a while. And they have some ideas. Yes.
Very cool.
I have a quick question to the group. So, it looks like you guys have done a lot of, or your group has done a lot of background work on this, and you are intimately familiar with the concept that you're talking about. We're sorry, but no one can answer the phone right now. What do your friends and peers think about the questions that you're asking? And, are there agreements, disagreements, and what did you guys find out in your kind of quest for this knowledge?
One thing that I found out is that a lot of them didn't even know this was a thing. So they really couldn't give me much of an opinion on something that they didn't really know was happening.
I've learned, doing this research, I have learned a lot of new things that create noise and contribute to noise pollution that I would never look at something that could cause. And it's just enlightened me on a lot of things about noise.
I learned that too. I back off what Solomon had said. Like, I know for my mom, she works in construction and drives trucks a lot, and have to the asphalt and stuff, and it's a lot of noise pollution for her because they're working and they don't have earplugs or anything. And I know, like, sometimes she'll come home and she's like, my head hurts, I don't, like, she doesn't want to talk or do anything because, like, it hurts her eardrums because all the noise around her.
Sure.
That needs to be fixed as well.
We just showed like our friends another aspect to like things that could harm their future throughout this research project, like introducing ways like they would be blasting music and then like just tell them like that's not healthy for your body, for the future of your hearing. Like it could cause hearing loss over time. So they're looking at things at a different aspect.
I can attribute to that because my mom, she works at a recycling factory for glass. And so I've been there a few times, and she has a coworker that speaks really loud because over the years of her working there, she's lost hearing. So she doesn't really realize how loud she talks.
Yeah.
I have really enjoyed this, and I'm just so glad to see that our students are so mindful of this. I think we often are concerned about this because of the technology and the telephones that are a constant part of our existence. And we know in order to have some type of sense of feeling yourself from your your physical being, you have to know how to hear your body. And when you're surrounded with a lot of noises, you don't often have that opportunity. So just being mindful of this and understanding it is great. So I've enjoyed listening to your presentation, and I think you're a step above or ahead of some students of your age in knowing how important this is, so that you can continue to grow and learn about yourself and who you are, and just having that element of being mindful about how important it is to have that quietness that enables you to become a better thinker, that enables you to become a better decision maker about who you are, and focus on that is it's just great. So I've enjoyed your presentation and just so glad to see this coming from you. And Ms. Turner, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this. It's been wonderful.
I wanted to follow on Ms. Lewis's question. I really, this was excellent. I'm curious, how has it changed you? How has working on this project changed the way you think about things?
Well, I have not worked on the project. I am a retired school teacher. I've worked with special need kids all of my life, and this has just been one of the dimensions of creating an environment that is pretty conducive for what they need. And so from that perspective, I just know how important it is. But I don't think it's something that is specific to special need kids. I think it's something that all children should be mindful about. And like I said, society now is so overwhelmed with technology and telephones, and they're constantly having noise in their ear, that it can be a big distractor. So when you understand the importance of all of that and how it affects your body, I think it serves you to know how it affects your body. Yes.
And I'm curious for the students, how has this changed you, if it has?
Change, I'm not sure if it changed me. I think it's something that I have embraced, particularly after getting off work and everything becoming a little settled, a little more settled in my environment. The quietness alone allowed me to reflect. I don't think you can effectively reflect unless you have an element of quietness in your space. And I've done an awful lot of that lately within the last 2 years. And it just contributes towards becoming a healthier thinking person.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon or Brooklyn or Jamel do any of the students have anything to add?
Well, for me, my dad, he has like a little side hustle, and he's a DJ. So every time he wants to try out something new, there's music blasting in the house. I walk out into the living room and there's just a wall of speakers. And so because he's a DJ, we have parties at our house quite often. So we get noise from that too. And I didn't really know about like the health effects that it has until I started working on this. And I read on like how it affects kids, like little kids when they're born, and how they can have learning problems from it, which I found really interesting because I'm always surrounded by noise. I didn't grow up with it, but my siblings did. And then just seeing how they have problems learning in school, and how one of my brothers has autism, which can also be a cause from noise pollution at a young age. It just came to like an eye opener.
It helped me notice that it's not good to blast music all the time. So now I'm more aware of how loud my music is whenever I'm listening to music.
Yeah, like what Jamal said, it just made me consider a lot of things that I do that's surrounded around noise and like sound in general. Like it helped me look at a different aspect, as if it's positive for my ears or it can have a negative impact for my ears for the future. So I really like consider a lot of things that I do that deals with sound and noise and hearing.
I agree to that, and I've also noticed for me that it's a distraction actually. Like I work better when there's nothing going on. I'm in a quiet space, no one's talking, music, nothing. As to I'm playing music while I'm doing my homework or online classes, like it doesn't work out for me because then I'm just like I can't do two things at once, you know? And I'm learning as we go on with this project, like um, how noise pollution has affected me most of my life. And now, like I like tie back on certain things, like he was saying about the phone and stuff and music. Like I'll have my headphones in full volume, no problem. And I've noticed how it's hurt me a lot in the end. And I'm just trying to cut back on bad habits that I know I do when it comes to noise pollution.
Yeah, like Brooklyn said, the music and having those things that cause noise pollution, and in just the research has helped me a lot with the things that I do. But I've never been the person to like listen to music while doing my work, because it just never works for me. But it also has helped me understand why one of my cousins that has autism very badly, while younger, like me playing with him, I know when I would yell or not trying to, hurt him, he would get very annoyed and I just didn't understand why. But now from researching this, I understand why they can't take a lot of noise and stuff.
And one thing that was brought to me by this is that it's not just music, noise is everywhere. Loud cars, lawnmowers, just anything. Like right now, I can hear my neighbor with the leaf blower. I don't know if you can, but I can hear it. And I feel like now during quarantine, since most people just want to do other things to keep their mind off of it, they're starting to cause more since they're going outside and mowing their lawns or tending to their gardens, or maybe just like fixing the roofing of their house. There's noise around everywhere.
Thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I'm sorry. This is Mr. Muzo, and I really want to thank you for this project. As educator, seeing a student with their ear on 24 hours, 7 days a week, I think you can really be the ambassador for this project to your peer. So they listen better to you than adults. So talk to them and be behind them and let them know how those, this technology can really destroy them in the near future. So they have the power to control it. They don't have to let those technology control them, but they can control the technology. So I'm glad that you have done something like this for your peer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Musso.
Junior CSCs, I just wanted to say fabulous job. It is such a pleasure to learn from you. We had an opportunity, Daniela and I, to see you in person in Atlanta, and it is equally powerful on the computer that we're seeing you through Zoom. And every time I hear this presentation, I learned something new from you. It is so jam-packed with actionable information and great information. So just thank you so much for all you're doing. And just, we're so proud of you. Really so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corel. All right, anybody else?
I just echo, this is Karen in Portland, I just echo everything that everyone has said. It really is, I think, pretty phenomenal. And the things that you've learned yourselves from doing the work and how it's already made you act on the knowledge that you've gained. I really appreciate how you focused a little bit too on the impacts of children, for children, and the needs of folks who have autism. I think that's really important that you highlighted them in your presentation. And I had no idea about the 235 decibels that whales and other marine mammals are exposed to underwater. So lots of new information for me, and I just applaud you for this fantastic work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, I just again want to thank you from all of us in the project. This has been a fantastic experience. I am hoping that this is not the last time we see you guys, and that we can continue to stay in close touch. I think we need to do something with this presentation, a video, something that so we can spread the work that you're doing wide. Because it is fabulous. I think everybody here learned, and there's a lot of pretty cool experts here on noise, but I think every one of us learned. So thank you so much for presenting, for coming on, and for just that. What a smoothly practiced presentation. What an impactful presentation, just telling your own stories as well as what you've researched, and the research, just such high quality research. Really impressive. You guys have just deserve the honors that you've been getting and are going to continue to get. So thank you.
Karen?
Yep.
To that end, can I add something to this? So this is a tremendous body of work, and also to the team, that is there a kind of a plan to share this broadly, both to the students, to their peers, and also to the other communities that are part of this project and beyond?
Yes.
What did you say? What was the last part of that?
Sharing it widely to both, the communities that are involved in this project, and maybe even beyond that, because I think as the students really highlighted that a lot of their peers are not really aware of that, and I think just to recognizing and solving a problem, first the awareness has to come first that is a problem, and I think that could go a long way to then kind of creating those actions that may change it. And I think, as somebody pointed out, that coming from the quote unquote the adults or expert versus coming from the peers, that has a very different impact on their cohorts. So I would love to see what we can do with it or what the plan for the team is to spread it to the broader communities.
Well, I will tell you that we've already been discussing this at Tri-Cities. As Ms. Whitfield said, we were trying to put a campaign together. We want to try and make it part of our weekly advisement session, like a PSA, to get it out across the school. They already had scheduled several speaking engagements. They were going to do this for Earth Day, but of course, there are no public presentations right now. But they'd already been invited to present for Earth Day, and they are going to present virtually to the College Park City Council, East Point City Council. So we have plans in place for them to continue the presentation, and hopefully after we get through this very challenging time, they will be able to have a much greater impact and a much broader audience. They were on their way to Texas in June to present at the National Beta Club Convention, and we were really looking forward to that, as well as coming to Ithaca. We were looking forward to coming up to New York. So thanks to Bobby Wilson and his leadership, we've been able to at least generate interest in the community around this. We're just a little bit slowed down right now, but the interest is there.
Thank you,
Phyllis. And I have to say, so don't, the trip to Ithaca is going to happen. It may not be happening right now, but it is definitely going to happen. So we are waiting for you guys, and we are super excited to receive you here. And again, I also want to thank Phyllis. I want to thank Bobby for your leadership in bringing these students together, and all the administrators and parents at Tri-Cities. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring up a point too. What about the possibility of this being on the website, and maybe even having a youth section on the website that would reach out to other youths? And I don't know if it could be interacting, but somehow, because these young people are so awesome. I am so proud of all of you, the work that you've done, and just the consciousness that you have to dive into this subject, and the work that you've done has just been amazing, really fabulous. I really applaud you.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa. I fully agree. Bobby, we can't hear you very well.
Thanks to the student job, but I want y'all to know this is only the beginning. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we heard that this is only.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you.
Okay. Well, I think. Yeah, this is only the beginning. This is only the start we have a higher plateau that we are going to reach. And just wait till you hear the second round. It's already on the drawing board. We mentioned it to the students, and we got several more rounds that we got to go. So if you're excited about this, just wait till you hear what comes up next.
Thank you, Bobby. And thank you, Teresa. Those are great ideas for, I definitely think we've got to have the work of these students on the website and include ways in which we can spread their information and their presentation far and wide. And we are super excited about having you back. And Bobby, I know that when you say this is only the beginning, you mean this is only the beginning. So very, very cool. Thank you again.